I don't know about Montreal Canadiens fans, but I was really kind of surprised with the way Montreal went about the NHL trade deadline. I thought that they were going to be one of the more active teams, and this just kind of shows you how random the NHL trade deadline is. It's funny, listening to Elliot Friedman, he was actually going on about that there's always just something you don't know about. The Leafs grabbing Brandon Carlo. That came out of left field. I didn't even look at that because typically you don't look within your division and think that players trade within their division. Now, when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, there were actually a couple of things that I personally really liked that they did. A lot of people didn't like that they kept Jake Evans. I actually thought that that was a really reasonable deal. Like I looked at the price they kept him for, what he was producing, and what centers were going to be going for, and I thought to myself, that's a good call. You probably should just keep Jake Evans at that number. I'm telling you right now, I've been harping on this over and over and over again, but centers are going to get paid in free agency. I am really interested to see what Sam Bennett gets. I wouldn't even doubt this guy's getting $7 million a season. I wouldn't even doubt it. Yeah, and yes, that is ridiculous for a 55 point, point per, on pace for 55 point center. He hasn't actually scored 55 points, but you understand what I mean. Like that to me, that's just outrageous for that type of player. So I think Evans got around 2 or 2.85 or something like that. That's completely reasonable. Anyways, the point is that I thought they were going to be going all in at the trade deadline, trading assets, and I think that the Montreal Canadiens want to tell their core that, like, hey, if you go forward, maybe it is just smarter just to keep some players around, and it might not be the dumbest decision. And now the best thing about this is we now have more information from David Pagnotta of the fourth period, that the Montreal Canadiens are expected to be active at the NHL Draft after a quiet trade deadline. The trade deadline, the draft, and July 1st is when the most noise is going to be going around any team at all. Love to see it. The article continues. The Montreal Canadiens took a reserved approach at the NHL deadline, opting to not force moves that didn't meet their asking price. I'm kind of confused by this. Like, what exactly was their asking price? Were they asking for a first-round selection for Jake Evans or guys like Savard? I don't really know. So David Pagnotta on the fourth period, speaking on TSN radio in Montreal, explained that while the Canadiens explored options for veterans like Savard and Armia, nothing materialized. Now, what I am most interested in this entire situation is exactly what they were asking for those players. Again, what we saw, for example, what we saw Brock Nelson go for was just outrageous for an unrestricted free agent. I think at like a first, a prospect, I think Callum Ritchie, he's a really, really, really good prospect, might I add. That guy, that's a quality prospect, a first-round selection, and a decent roster player. Not a great roster player, but a decent roster player. From the prices that I was seeing, I was floored sitting here being like, is this what we're dealing with in this deadline? It was shocking. That's why I didn't think what the Maple Leafs did was that bad. He then says he expects the Canadiens will be busy at the NHL Draft. Pagnotta noted that the Canadiens chose to play meaningful hockey games at the end of the season, even though they understand they aren't cup contenders. Instead of trading players like Dvorak for minimal cash return, Montreal's management felt it best to utilize the player. Okay, I don't mind teams switching it up like this. Because here's the thing. A lot of people just think, well, maybe you should just always trade assets. I'm actually not necessarily sure of that. The reason is because Look at teams like Buffalo. Look at these teams that do that every year. They trade assets, but they're always terrible. Maybe going outside of the realm of what most teams do isn't necessarily a bad thing. It continues. Pagnotta expects the Canadiens to be much more aggressive in June. General Manager Kent Hughes has a track record of making significant trades at past drafts, including acquiring Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook. Also, in the summer, they got Patrick Laine. Now, I was an advocate of them getting Mikko Rantanen. Now, I remember I made a video. I would watch a lot of Habs channels. Like, I just sit on YouTube all day and just, like, listen to hockey videos. And I remember there's one Hab video. I can't remember who did it, but they were going on about the rumor that the Montreal Canadiens would explore getting Ranton. Now we know that's not going to happen because he signed 12 times 8, which, by the way, 12 million times 8 is a damn good contract for Dallas. I think Rantanen is so good, and I was like, Montreal, if they should absolutely go for this guy. I was looking at every comment being like, no, don't get Rantanen. I was like, no way, you absolutely want to go get Rantanen. So I want the Montreal Canadiens to make some big moves. You know, think about it this way. You have Nikolai Ehlers, you have Brock Besser, you have Sam Bennett. You know, you possibly have, I think Ekblad is going to UFA, although he just got suspended. There are some decent unrestricted free agents. Can you imagine? I mean, this would never happen, but can you imagine if they got Mitch Marner? Like, I know that would never happen, but my lord, that would be a kick in the junk of Leaf fans like me. But again, they have options. I'm really interested to see what they do with their cap space. They have a young core. Can they convince a player that is a top 6 player to come in and play for them? They really need defense as well. In my opinion, the Montreal Canadiens, the number one thing that they need is defense. So this is the question of the video. What do you think the Montreal Canadiens need above anything? Goaltending, defense, centers, wingers, coaching, general manager, blah, blah, blah. What exactly do you guys think? In my opinion, I think it's defense. I really, there were times in this season where the Montreal Canadiens struggled so much with their defensive coverage. I thought there was just some times where I was like, oh man, they look just like terrible in their D zone, or like, tightening up their defensemen and forward in gap control and things like that. I just personally haven't loved their defensive play at all. So anyways, I just wanted to cover this rumor from David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period. I'm going to end the video here. If you guys could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys. And make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.